See, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports
My next guest is coming off her 4th UFC victory in the octagon, getting it done by decision. It is Vanessa Demopoulos back here on the program. Vanessa, how are you?
I couldn't be better right now. This is amazing.
Yeah, it was a great fight. This was a new camp for you. We talked about this going in, training out there in Las Vegas. Did you feel any different in there? How did you feel about your performance being with a new team?
I was so calm fighting. I was very confident being able to walk in there. I feel like even though it was a new team, I had a lot of time with my coaches, a lot of quality time on the mats. I got to see them every single day and do multiple sessions each day with them. So by the time I walked into the cage, everything was just like really, I was emotionally settled and very confident with my team.
What was the game plan going in, and how much did you feel like you executed it?
The game plan was to armbar her. So we knew that she wanted to wrestle me to the floor. We knew that she wanted to stay on top. And she did exactly that. But we were expecting her to come for more like head inside double legs. We trained that a lot. And being able to get up off of my back in case I was on the floor for too long, which my coaches did call for during the fight. But then when I tried to push her off, she ended up almost in the side control position. And I was like, man, it's just better for me to keep her down here and continue to do damage, because I felt like I was winning the damage perspective, even off of my back, even though I couldn't submit her. And I was using damage to try to open her up a little bit more so I could get my submissions, but she was very keen to that.
What, if anything, surprised you in the fight?
It surprised me how settled she was in being able to hold out my hips. And I think it was even in like the second round, like I'm holding her down. I look over at my coaches. I was like, guys, she's shutting my hips down. And like, I was definitely surprised at her strength with that, because obviously I'm very strong in what I do as well.
How confident were you going to the judges' scorecards? It was a close fight. What were you sort of thinking as they were, reading the scorecards?
As soon as the fight was over, I personally knew that I was the more aggressive fighter. I knew that I was the more violent fighter. I was really trying to finish the fight with submissions, but you never know when it goes to the judges' scorecards. And it wasn't until we were actually standing there and like the referee's like holding both of our hands. And I don't think like ESPN showed this particular part, but I like look over at my coaches and I was like, guys, all of the cameras are on her. I don't know if we won. Because it's like when you're standing there, you see the cameras in front of you, and there's like 4 or 5 different cameras inside the arena, and all of them were standing in front of her. So I look over at my coaches and I was like, guys, I don't know, man. All the cameras are over there. And then they called my name and I just freaked out. Yeah, but like until like that moment of like, I don't know, because the cameras were on her, I definitely thought I had won the fight.
It was close. And I know whenever there's a close fight, you get people who, say all types of things, whether it was, robbery or whatever, you sort of get that. I know you're not super active on social media, but did you get a bit of that backlash after the fight? Just because, again, there might've been people maybe betting on her and taking it out on you.
That part sucks for me, man, because it's like I earned a victory and now I have to deal with all of these people like talking shit on my Instagram. And I hate that, because it's like, I feel like I love these people and they're literally coming and attacking me for what? Right? Like I didn't, I'm not the judges, but I know that I won that fight. And it's like, I'm sorry that you lost money. Like I was such a big underdog in this fight. Like so many people bet on Kanako to win. So it's like, guys, like, I'm sorry that you lost money. Like, but like I won the fight, I know that I did more damage. I was very confident in all of that.
Is that the worst backlash you've had on social media in your fight career? I know you're a woman. Every now and then you're probably getting some really bad messages just because that's the way social media is. But how does this compare to maybe other fights?
Yeah, I think this was definitely the worst of it, of people like were just really trying to attack me and break me down of like, you lost, like this was a robbery, like, but I also feel like people that know what they're looking at, like there's been like other coaches that are commenting on there saying like, no, like I was doing the damage. Like when you look from a control time aspect, they're right. Like I didn't win the control time, but I was the one pushing all of the other action that was happening around that.
How do you deal with that, with the negativity? Because you're always positive. We talk about this every time we come on the interview. You're always smiling. You know, I know this is not something you're really used to. Is it just you don't check Instagram? Do you respond to comments? Like, how do you deal with it? Because it's, I mean, I even get negative stuff too, and it's, you know, it kind of puts you in a bad mood, right?
Yeah, it kind of does a little bit. And it's like I'm trying to celebrate this victory with my family.
Mhm.
But I do respond to some of them. But honestly, at the end of the day, like people are gonna say what they're gonna say, they're gonna think what they're
Yeah.
gonna think. And I can't control that, and
Yeah.
it's like half the time they're commenting from like a dummy page. Like
Yeah.
it's not even
Exactly.
them, like they don't even want to comment from their own pages. And yeah, it's like they're not the ones that are in that arena fighting. Like they don't feel what we feel. They are not making these like huge decisions.
Yeah.
So I won the fight. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the end of it.
On a positive note, how did you celebrate after the fight? How did you enjoy yourself?
Yay! Oh my goodness, my whole family was here. So
Oh, nice.
like we all went out for food. We went to the casinos. We had some fun. Went and saw a little magic show. So it was just a really good time. Getting quality time with the people that I love so much.
That's good. So you got to see a show, because I guess the card would have ended a bit earlier, that you would have had time to go do something after the fight, right?
Oh yeah, it was such an early card. I fought at like 2:30 in the afternoon here in
That's
Vegas.
right. Okay. I was at Bellator, so I kind of forgot what time the card was on, but yeah, that's it makes sense that you would have that extra time. And so that, do you like fighting that early? That's kind of a bonus, right? Like you finish your fight and you can still have the rest of your evening to celebrate, right?
Yeah, I mean, like that part is the bonus, but also I prefer to like wake up in the morning. Like I didn't have a shakeout this time
Mhm.
because the fight was so early. So like
Okay,
there was
gotcha.
no time to like really like get all the coaches together and do like this big shakeout, and like break that win. So it's like I didn't break my first win until I was warming up for the fight.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the pros and cons for sure. What about what's next? When do you want to get back in there, have another fight? The bonus for you, obviously, is you live in Vegas. They're doing cards there all the time, so sure, it's a little bit easier for someone like yourself to get a fight than maybe others.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be able to jump right back in there. That was the first thing I said when I talked to my manager, Jason House. As soon as I hopped out, I was like, yeah, like I'm ready to rock and roll. I have zero injuries. So let's hurry up and get me back on the books. Because Mick is my matchmaker and he's so organized and so good at putting these cards together that he's like super far in advance. So I'd like to get back on the books as soon as possible.
Would like December work, or even earlier? Like I think there's that big pay-per-view. I know it's filling up pretty quickly. Is that kind of what you're looking at, or would you want to go and fight someone else? Like I think they're doing that card in Austin right in early December. So
Oh my goodness, December would be great. Yeah, like
yeah,
mid December would be super awesome. Whatever the last card is of the year before they start the holidays, that
yeah,
would work out perfect for me. I just like stay in it and stay active. My weight is still very low, so
nice.
I wouldn't mind like going right back onto a diet and keeping it exactly where it's at.
And you have a couple fights left in your contract, if I remember.
I think one more fight on my contract. Yeah,
Okay. So,
on
well,
this
at least you're
contract
coming
that
off
I'm
a
on.
win, right? Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's if you're coming off a win, obviously a little bit more negotiating power. So maybe there is a new contract in the works, because I know sometimes they'll let you, on the last fight, let you renegotiate, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've won 4 out of my last 5 fights, so
That's right.
it's a pretty good look if I'm negotiating for a new contract.
Absolutely. And that's why you have management for. Let them handle it. What about
That's
the,
right.
what about an opponent? Are you kind of, I mean, I know again, but I mean, you got a bit of leverage here, right? You just mentioned it there. You've won a couple now. Is there any opponents you're looking at, or do you kind of let your coaches and management deal with that?
I'm letting my coaches kind of look that over right now. So, my manager like kind of asked my coach, what might we be looking forward to? So my coach and I are kind of going back and forth on some names and some potentials. But at the end of the day, it's not even up to us; it's up to Mick, and it's
Yeah.
up to the matchmakers and what it is that they want to see out of us looking forward. And of course, like if you're doing things like pay-per-view events, like there's tougher opponents, and I am trying to climb into the rankings and do all of that. So. I will. I'm ready to rock and roll, man. Whatever they put in front of me. My striking looked supreme this last fight. My
Yeah.
striking's getting better and better. We already know that my jujitsu is good, but she was such an amazing wrestler, and she really like studied that position and holding me freaking down. So good for her for holding me down. But even from the bottom, if you hold me down now, I am going to do some crazy damage. Like she was cut open in a bunch of different places, you know, I hope she heals quickly. But yeah, holding me down is not the way to go anymore.
What do you got planned for the rest of the week? I know training's part of that, but you gonna enjoy yourself? Got any dinners? Going to any shows? Like, you got anything planned there? Because you're in Vegas. There's plenty to do, right?
There's so much to do here in Vegas. And yeah, Dana White's going to be having the PBR here, the bull riders. So
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I
gonna
heard
be
about
fun
that.
to kind of be doing some of that. Yeah. I love going to the fights. So there's another big card this weekend that I'll hop onto. There's basketball. I know that the Aces are in the finals here, women's NBA. So that'll be cool. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
That's good. That's great. And obviously winning fights too. Vanessa, thank you so much for doing this. Always great to talk to you. If there's anyone you'd like to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Huge thank you to my coaches, man. I couldn't be here without them. So Jiva Santana came all the way from California and gave my black belt jiu-jitsu. Thank you to Dennis Davis over there at Extreme and Mateos Nicolau. So he was, you know, really awesome. Nakash. Mateos Nakash.